You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group and co-hosts Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from SEBO. The Option Block is brought to you by SEBO. When it comes to trading volatility, trust SEBO, the creator of the VIX Index, for in-depth and relevant information. SEBO's tools and services gives you up-to-date trade insights, analysis, and positions of VIX options and futures. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/VIX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of CBOE Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively CBOE. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the CBOE products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, let's get rid of some of this echo here. That music and that lustrous audio means we are coming at you not from our Chicago studio, but actually right down the street, which is, there we go. All right. Which is fun as well. SEBO had to follow me here into the West Loop. Yes, it is time for the Option Block, your bi-weekly source for all things options. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the ever exciting, at least we tend to think so around these parts, Options Insider Radio Network. We're not biased at all here. And of course, remember, if you want to check out everything we've got going, if you want to join us live, we're trying to get the live stream. Looks like we have a live stream going today, so all of our pro folks can join in as well. If you want to check those out, check out our pro Q&As, all that other good stuff. Theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. As we learn who is joining me in the room today for the first time together, and I can't remember. I think maybe when you did the thing at the old SEBO.
Yeah, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. So yes, we are all back in the same room. I haven't seen all these guys together in quite some time. They've all aged horribly, so it's good to see. Yes, I am joined first off. That tinny voice can be none other than the greasiest of meatballs, Mr. Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com.
How is my voice tinny?
Sounds a little more booming now. I think they boosted you.
I have a booming baritone voice.
When you have the right mic, you can sound a little bit more. Well, welcome to your own event, sir.
Well, I got to tell you, I am really excited about something, Mark.
You are? You should be.
Yes.
I am not just the host today. I'm also the Option Santa Claus. I come bearing gifts, but there'll be time for that in a minute. Next up, we have the Cyclops. He got out of He got out of Maine. I don't know how you made that happen. The Rock Lobster himself, Mr. Andrew GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com. What possibly possessed you to leave the hallowed shores of Maine, sir?
Mark made me come.
Takes a lot. Takes a lot to get Andrew out of the hallowed halls or the hallowed shores of Maine, but he did it.
This way he gets to make me buy a mistake.
Buy a mistake. Get some good Portillo's.
Always the best steak in the world is the steak that Mark Sebastian buys.
Best steak you'll ever have is the one that Mark Sebastian buys. Yes, it just tastes that much more delicious. And last but not least, he made it over from the old SEBO to the new SEBO. He got a little lost in the bright lights of the big city. He is none other than Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management. Uncle Mike, good to see you in person as well, sir.
Always good to be here. You know, it's scary leaving the city limits of St. Charles, but I got to tell you, I'm excited. I'm back to Chicago, Illinois, trading capital of the world, home of the Bulls and the Bears, and I am not talking the sports team.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Before we get into the trading block and start the show proper, as I mentioned, I come bearing gifts. So we do a little contest on our show here, listeners. Where we're all fans of 80s pro wrestling. This is our first show of the week, so we like to get the blood pumping, wake up with a little bit of fun. So they convinced me to do an 80s pro wrestling trivia / guessing game. And we've been doing it for a couple of years now. And we had a grand prize winner last year. And it was the greasiest of meatballs himself, Mr. Mark Sebastian. So he's been waiting for his grand prize, which is an exclusive vintage G.I. Joe era Sergeant Slaughter that we had to pre-order for you in the early wee morning hours before it sold out. We did get two. I got one for my studio too. It's like I couldn't let you have all.
I'm excited.
We were going to send it to you last month. We thought, no, that's more fun to see your face in person. So congratulations, sir. It's not the sexy leg lamp from Christmas Story, but it's much better.
Look at this, guys.
It even comes. Yes, that deserves a round of
applause.
Oh
man!
It even comes with a mini Sarge, all sorts of accessories. It's a Sergeant Slaughter from the 80s era of wrestling that we all know and love, but
as a G.I. Joe figure. Because remember, Sergeant Slaughter was a G.I. Joe in the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yes, actually himself. But they didn't change it.
They didn't change anything.
Sergeant Slaughter as a G.I. Joe character. So yes, that's the vintage one. That's the one we all know him and love him as.
I will pass this. I'll let everyone.
No Iraqi general sergeant. None of that stuff.
Yeah, no.
None of that noise.
I'll let you guys all take a look at the marvelousness.
The marvel. Don't have them open it and ruin the value.
Don't open it, but you can examine the box.
Yes. So there you go. Congratulations, sir. A major award.
I'm excited.
Well
Thank you so much.
Left hand grab. There we go. Congratulations.
Exciting.
You've been waiting for that prize, I know, for quite some time. Uncle Mike, you were our runner-up, and so not to leave you completely empty-handed too. I thought for something exclusive that was fun, 80s style, and we did just talk about this guy. So you get your own micro IRS, sir. There you go.
Oh, wow!
That's actually there's a company here in Chicago. I didn't realize this. That is the mecca of pro wrestling for a lot of their licensing and they make the t-shirts, and also they started making those. They're called.
Okay, this is really cool.
That one has some value, so I wouldn't maybe open that one right away. Those micro brawlers.
Erwin R. Shyster.
Especially for the 80s guys. Yes, it is Erwin R. Shyster, if you're not familiar, listeners. One of the great 80s IRS gimmicks, and Uncle Mike's favorite wrestler of all time. So there you go. You're not left holding the bag. And Mr. Rock Lobster, you got 0 points in our 80s pro wrestling game last year. So you don't really deserve anything.
But he's got like 2 points in the current one.
He does have in the current one. And also you complain endlessly about not getting one of our umbrage crates. So I thought in order to defray your umbrage, there you go. You get to boost your gear.
Ooh.
Exclusive shirt content. So there we go. That is not our normal trading block start. That is the Santa block start of the show.
Wow.
You all earned it.
Thank you, Mark Longo.
The exception of Andrew. You didn't really earn anything, but you complained a lot. So you as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the trading block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. And as we're coming to you from the SEBO right now, we're seeing most of the market still hanging out in the red. S&P off close to 0.5%. The Dow off almost a full percent, about 0.85%. And the NASDAQ hanging out a little bit south of unched, about 0.15% in the red. All that means our vol friends are looking a little bit frothier. And you know what? To get back to what everyone was complaining about last year, right? VIX was dead. VIX is useless. VIX is broken. All we had to do is get it back in the teens, right? And then all of a sudden it can move 4 handles in a day again. Everyone's like, wow, VIX is amazing. VIX coming into showtime was right around 20.5. I haven't pulled it up now, so it could be a little bit different. That was almost 5 points higher than where it was on the Monday show. When's the last time we saw that VIX Monday to Thursday, 5 points. Not in the VIX north of 25 era very often.
No.
VVIX back frothy as well, right around 102, up 12 points from our Monday episode listeners. VXX also getting back a lot of the juice it gave up recently. Was 42.25 when I walked in the building. That's up nearly 6 points, about 5 3/4 points from where it was on Monday. UVXY, it can go back north of 420 right now, up about almost a full point, about 0.85. SVIX getting a lot of its mojo taken away again, 1710, down nearly 3 points, about 2.7. UVIX, the levered friend, 1360, up about 3.3. And VolQ, aka the at the money vol of the NASDAQ 100, 2160, up about 3.6 points. So a lot to parse there, a lot going on. Actually, some volume on the screen today, too. We'll go on the opposite of the way we started. We'll start with the uncleist of Mike. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what is catching your eye out there in a distinctly not Uncle Mike type of day? And do you have any thoughts on our friends, the Fed? I know you were waiting with bated breath for them this week, what they had to say, too, sir.
Well, a couple things. I think that number one, it seems like are we having another small banking crisis again? Is that bad again? That's one thing that seems like we're hearing a lot about. 25 points. I don't know if that's necessarily a big surprise to anybody. The big thing that everyone was talking about going into the Fed meeting was along the lines of, are they going to pause? Are they going to do 25? But I think 25 was the consensus. That's what I felt they were going to do. I think right now the question is going to be, what are they going to do in the future? Where are we going with it? Throughout the rest of the year. Market obviously did not like that with the sell-off with which we're having. The other thing that I think that the thing that's catching my eye throughout this whole Fed thing is that I think, at least from the standpoint of the 10-year note, there was a big sell-off last year. Obvious reasons, interest rates go up, bond values go down, but what's happening right now, just looking at IEF, if for those of you that are looking at your ticker symbols at home, it's actually up a little bit on the year, and we've still been raising rates. So I feel as if in the bond world, a lot of this has been factored in with where we're going. And I'm not convinced. I think we are nearing the end of the Fed rate increases, but I could be wrong in that front. We'll see at the next Fed meeting. A few things that we have going on today. Of course, the S&P 500, or the main thing that I'm looking at this stage, would be the SPX is still down below the 4100 level. I believe we had the TOSAW 3900 level and the GIOVINAZZI 4100 level as our magnet, and we're back below the 4100 level in the SPX. So it'll be interesting to see if we can actually continue to hold that on in the commodity space. What we have going on, of course, we have oil up slightly on the day, still below the 70 mark, and we have that happening. But for the most part, I think the market's just kind of catching its breath from yesterday's sell-off, and it's going to be an interesting close today. So are you guys doing live trading going into the close?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be fun. Stick around for that in case you weren't anyway, but that's going to be an interesting thing to see as well. So looking at that, Bitcoin is still below 30,000, and that's my take on things.
How do you like Bitcoin, Mike?
Well, I'll advertise my domain with which I own. This is my investment in Bitcoin. I own the domain bitcoinreallysucks.com. So
there you go. He is soliciting offers if you want to acquire that.
It is for sale if you want to buy it. I paid a whopping $20 for that.
Yeah, so I think he's starting at 1.2 million. I think was your asking price, sir, but you'll negotiate down a little bit.
I'll give it the option pit special at 1.15.
Oh, nice.
It's a deal for all the listeners out there. All right, let's keep going in order. Let's go out to the rocking. It's the Lobster, sir. Same deal. Our vol friends getting a little bit of a lift today, so I guess they can go up and actually stay up for a little bit, not more than just an hour. Earlier this week, we had the pop, and it lasted a couple of hours. But now we're actually, it's like it's persisting. So your thoughts there, as well as anything you thought of with our friends from the Fed yesterday?
Well, the Fed, as far as Powell, I think he just did exactly what he was telling everybody he was going to do. He keeps saying, I'm going to raise. He doesn't want to be the hyperinflation Fed chairman. So I don't think he has any choice. A topic that we went around here a little bit on this live stream earlier. But as of right now, what I don't get is I feel like there's disconnected parts. And I think that's why vol's lifting. Major regional banks, which just had earnings, are supposed to be healthy, are supposed to have deposits. They're all down relatively sized today, like 5, 8, 10, 11, 20%, down a ton over the last week. And somehow the SPX is down 100 points. So I don't get that. The thing that has changed this week hugely is, but VIX has responded by going from 1560, I think, or 1540 was the low on Monday, to 20 or almost 20. And I think we breached 20. So my rule usually is with VIX, you hit 20 once, you're going to hit it twice, usually within a week. So I don't think this is over, but I have to say that no equity sell-off really gets any pickup. And I think I think another part of that today was learning from Mr. Jam Croissant about how long gamma everybody is from 0 DTE, which could have slowed things down a little bit.
The gamma bombs, the aforementioned.
We
gamma bombs team.
we had
that.
It sounds like a drink you get over at Siri, doesn't it? The gamma bomb.
The gamma bomb.
We had an interesting discussion about that. The big banks and stuff, they're long gamma at the money, and then everybody's also short, massively short wings. Massively short wings.
Seem to be the way they do it, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
what's the worst that could happen?
Nothing. Oh, nothing.
Nothing at all.
No, everything's going to be fine.
I was talking to our friends here at the SEBO back at one of the conferences recently, and they were saying they're looking at the numbers, at least in the S, and they were surprised at how symmetrical the flow was. So in terms of the retail and the customer flow, they're not just doing one leg. They're not just selling puts or selling. It's all spreads. It's weirdly more symmetrical than any other paper they have. They said. So you look at your Apples and your Tesla. They're all biased in one direction or the other. But in the single day stuff, it's very symmetrical, which is strange in and of itself. Is that what a lot of you guys are doing here today? You're going to be doing all the 0 day stuff.
Yeah, we're doing some of that, but
you're luring them to the dark side.
Is he
luring you to the dark side?
I'm not. 0 day? Yes, I'm not having them sell strangles that for 25 cents that expire in 3 hours. I'm not doing.
I'm leaving then.
All right.
That's all TOSAW does. All right. Well, sir, you're last but not least a winner of our 80s wrestling contest from last. I need to cut a little applause there for
that. Was amazing.
Have our audio guys do that for you. So a major award. Celebrate that suitably, sir. Congratulations
I will.
To you. A long time coming. You got a little bit of a hole to dig out for this year's contest.
I know.
TOSAW's kind of whooping you. You have in your own defense, you have missed a few, so that didn't help you.
I know, and my
the Rock Lobster is not a good stand-in. And when he does get points, he takes them for himself. So he's got 2 points.
Yeah.
He's looking to dethrone you. But aside from that, sir, what's catching your eye out there in the markets this week?
Yeah, I think the big thing from Powell yesterday, which was interesting, right? His staff said they're expecting a recession, and he said, "I'm not sure there's going to be a recession." What does that mean? Well, everybody wants the stupid pivot, right? Oh, they're going to start dropping rates. No, not if he doesn't think there's a recession going. He's going to hold rates for high as long as he wants. And markets didn't like that. And that's why we had a pretty nice range yesterday. Pretty kind of an ugly day on Tuesday. And today we're getting a little bit of fall through, although like every single trading day, we get dumped in the morning, and then what happens? Like we just get the algos trying to slowly buy it all day. The only day where we really haven't seen that, and we kind of closed on the lows, was yesterday on Wednesday. But it's like clockwork, right? Dump in the morning, and then they're going to buy it up. They're going to slowly buy it up. But we'll see what happens the last hour. Could be fun, especially with the Apple earnings tonight.
Apple earnings, the gamma bombs all kicking in. Should be a good time. Let's see what kind of good time we're having in the market right now. And as of a few minutes ago, we're seeing some actual numbers out there, which is impressive. VIX already well north of 1 million contracts right now, 1.4 million to be precise. So that's pretty impressive, especially considering the ADV is hanging out right around 700,000 right now, about 717. So that looking already 2x their ADV. We haven't seen VIX this frothy this early in the day in quite some time. So that is kind of interesting. We have seen days over 1 million recently. Usually it's 1.1, 1.01, something like that. And it all comes towards the end of the day. Now here we are halfway through the session, already well north of 1 million contracts. So folks, I guess, had some pent up ball demand, and they're expressing it all out there today. SPY saying, not to be outdone, saying, hold my beer, kid. 6.1 million contracts on the tape for SPY. The ADV, 8.1 million right now. So SPY already closing in on that as well. The S, nearly 2 million contracts already. That'll be good news to the people in this building today. 1.9 million contracts right now. I haven't run it. I'm sure if I ran how many of those are single day, and the top 20 probably would be all 20. The top 40, probably 35 would be expiring today. So still a very near dated product, but intriguing nonetheless. The ADV hanging right around 2.65 million contracts. Small caps, IWM, they've been very much in the lens right now in the crosshairs. Putting up some numbers again today, already 900,000 contracts on the tape for small caps. The ADV is only 1 million, so they're going to kiss that in just probably a couple hours. And the Qs actually looking kind of surprisingly light compared to everything else, only 1.5 million. The ADV is 2.8 million, so they're north of half of their ADV, but everything else is at or close to their ADV already. So it's like the Qs actually playing a bit of a lagger, which I guess not that surprising when the Qs are close to unched right now on the day. Let's go out to our top 10 most actives, by the way. All this data coming at you courtesy of our friends over there in Trade Alert and the Flow Master himself, who couldn't be here today. Ironically, he is at SEBA. I'm going to be here with him next week, but he's in the New York version, not in the Chicago office today. He said for him, the biggest thing he's watching right now is still the small bank implosion and the death spiral as a result. So that's our color from the Flow Master this week. We'll get more from him live next week on the show, but all this data coming at you courtesy of Trade Alert land. Top 10 out there for most actives today. We have Uber back on the docket 10, 238,000 contracts. That's also a respectable amount to break into our top 10 right now. It's not 300 or 350, but nearly 240. Nothing to sneeze at. Number 9, the Rock Lobster's other favorite name, that is Microsoft. So he's not slinging Oatly. If he's brought you to the dark side of Oatly here, you should thank him. That's a quality name. But number 9 is Microsoft, 248,000. So nearly 250,000 contracts on the tape for Microsoft. Number 8, AMC, the king of the apes. 295,000 contracts on the tape there. Number 7, Bank of America, 335,000 contracts. So a little bit of contagion fear lighten up that sector again. I was down at the options industry conference this past week talking to a guy from a regional bank that shall not be named. And he was saying the last 6 weeks have been pretty challenging, to put it mild. And they're not one of the ones that's been caught up in all the heat. And yet still they've seen a bunch of outflows and just a lot of contagion fears. So if you're in any of the regional banks, let alone Bank of America, a large bank, you're seeing a lot of interest and a lot of action right now. 335,000 contracts on the tape for Bank of America. Number 6, all the way down number 6 are the Amazonians, about 350,000 contracts on the tape right now. So just goes to show you how earnings season turns everything on its head. Number 5, we have Shopify. 396,000 contracts on the tape. They are post earnings. I believe they popped off this morning before the bell. So putting up a lot of numbers today. We don't usually talk about Shopify, but coming in at number 5 today. Number 4, the first of our chip zone. The chip zone's kind of inverted today. We have NVIDIA coming in at 406,000 contracts. Usually NVIDIA is above AMD. Today, AMD taking the top spot. Number 3, 463,000 contracts for AMD. Number 2, no surprise, it's the fruit company. Everyone's waiting for their earnings, 740,000 contracts. And the big dog yet again today, a day that ends in Y, it's going to be Tesla. Every single day it's Tesla. 1.04 million today, so a bit of a quiet day for Tesla. Looks like you got something on your mind, sir? Or?
Yeah, it's just AMD's getting slapped. And that's why it's been so busy. NVIDIA, I don't quite get what's going on there, but like they'll still just buy NVIDIA to the moon. But,
it has something to do with AI, and that's all you need to say. Yeah. It's off to the races.
It is unbelievable. But then why isn't IBM crushing it? Explain that.
There's no rhyme or reason
to
the AI. I used to hit Intel, not IBM.
Oh yeah, Intel. There's another one, right? Intel is killing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, compared to where they were, they kind of had a rough time. But yeah, right now, lately, doing a little bit better. But still, yeah, a far cry from the old days when we were out there. And it was the Apple and it was the Tesla. It was the bellwether for the space. Not so much anymore out there, but intriguing stuff nonetheless. Speaking of earnings, a hot week, as we just mentioned, for earnings. We had a bunch popping off earlier this week. Monday, we had SoFi kind of kicking off some more contagion concerns out there. Tuesday, we had Uber, Pfizer, BP, Marriott, AMD, and Ford. Is Ford still a meme stock now at $11? I don't think it is anymore.
No.
I think it's lost some of its luster now that it's divested of Rivian.
It's been de-memed.
Yeah. You remember those days, Andrew, on Options Oddities? We were talking about 25, 30 verticals for size.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And the problem is now everybody knows they can't make money making EVs. So all the bloom is off the rose, unfortunately.
I mean, how much money did we see go to die in the upside?
Oh, my God.
Hundreds of thousands of contracts.
That's right. 30, 40, 20, 30 call spreads.
25, 30, 25. Just back when Ford was in the low 20s, we saw so much money go to die in that upside call wing. It was kind of sad. And now back at 11 in the 11 range, probably a more healthy range for Ford right now. What was that? They lost their charge. All these EV fans in your audience here. You're listening to the Rock Lobster too much here. And then Wednesday we had CVS, Wingstop, and WWE and Qualcomm What is WWE now that they're part of Endeavor? Who knows? Today we have Moderna, we have Peloton, came up before the bell, not too great. A little fruit company you may have heard of after the bell, I should say. Coinbase, DraftKings, Portillo's. I believe you're eating delicious Portillo's right now. One of our Chicago staples, Bumble and DoorDash. Notice I don't eat and host at the same time.
Here, I don't understand why Disney, the owner of Star Wars, does not report its earnings on May the 4th.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess they see they have many more franchises than just Star Wars. That would be cool, though.
Well, they have other franchises, but have they really ruined one more harder?
I was going to say,
Star Wars?
Franchise is also the one, or Star Wars is also the one they've just murdered into the ground. I mean, I don't know if you want to lead with Star Wars anymore. Not exactly the banger that it once was. But we can.
I thought Solo was your favorite movie.
Yes, I have the poster on my wall. the modern Solo out there. Getting back to the earnings front, Disney and Star Wars notwithstanding. Happy May the 4th, by the way, to everybody out there. Should have brought some fun Star Wars tchotchkes. I'm sure I have some lying in the studio there.
My daughter's band concert tonight, they're doing Star Wars themed.
I would hope. Otherwise, what's the fun out there? Speaking of fun, there's a lot of earnings fun. We do have the latest earnings move results, earnings season and earnings trades reports on the docket here from our friends over there at ORATS. If you want to check those out for yourselves, you know where to go, listeners, theoptionsinsider.com. Click on the options, news, and articles tab. You'll see all the most recent highlights out there. We're hanging out right now for a season average. Looks like we're hanging out right now at about a 95%. What that means, for those of you not familiar with it, we crunch all the numbers for all the straddles for the entire season. And if everything comes in exactly how they price their straddle, if they meet it exactly, that's 100%. 95% is where we're hanging out right now. It's obviously a little bit shy of what they've been pricing in. So maybe it will be a lighter season than people expected. Then again, look at today's action. The session is still young. The season is still young. A lot could still unfold. The long-term average, we've been running this data since pre-pandemic. The pandemic obviously hit a lot of earnings vol pretty hard. So those numbers fell into the toilet. We got down to somewhere, I think, in the high 70s, low 80s in terms of long-term average percent. Now that's crept back up to about 96%. So our long-term average now is close to where we are for this season, right around 95, 96%, which means we're just slightly underperforming the straddles out there. And if we get another couple banger cycles, that will probably change. We have all that stuff up there. And again, it's for free. We just wanted to give you guys a sense of, we get this question a lot during earnings season of what are these names pricing in? What is their straddle? How have they performed in the past? We used to get that a lot. And there was no real good source of data on this. So we thought we would create one for you folks. And because we're nice and because the folks at ORATS are nice, we put it out there for free. So it's all there on the website. You could check. We have dozens of tickers I'm looking at right now that are popping off today, popping off this week, popping off next week. So you can go look at whatever your favorite name is, see what they're trading at right now, what the straddle is, what they've performed in the past on an average over the last 3 years on a kind of a moving average, as well as a whole bunch of other great historical data. And that's not enough. We also track right now, we're tracking 75 long straddles and 45 long calendars that we put on during earnings season just to kind of see how they perform. So all kinds of fun stuff. Speaking of performance, an intriguing thing, we were just talking, somebody just did the numbers for March, and it was a banger month, right? For an options perspective, the busiest month in the history of the options market, 1.1 billion contracts. Yes, billion with the B, listeners. When myself and all these guys were market makers here on the old SIBO floor, none of us, I don't think, ever thought we would see a billion contracts in a month. We could barely even get that done in a year. So the notion of putting all that up in a month, it seemed a ridiculous thing. And then the pandemic hit, and we started seeing 700, 800, 900 million contract months. And we thought, well, maybe there is a month in the future where we could get 1 billion. We hit it last month, March, 1.1 billion, the busiest month in the history of options. Everyone's obviously waiting with bated breath. What will April hold in store for us? And the answer was not much. It quieted down quite a bit. 764.3 million contracts in April. That's down 2.4% from April of last year. And ADV, which is what OCC loves to trumpet, that is up 44.9. So basically 45 million contracts a day for April, up 7.2%. So that's weird. The total is down. The ADV is up 7.2% compared year to date. Now you look at some highlights within there. Index options. So all this 0-day stuff we're talking about here and the SPX and other indexes, obviously driving a lot of paper. That volume up 43.2% from this time last year. Equity options, so the single names going the other way, down 12%. And again, ADV is up. Now, worth noting some highlights within there. A lot of that big total number is driven by how many trading days there are in a month. And April and February this year have the fewest with 19. So that's going to impact it. Obviously, we're averaging around 45 million contracts a day. So tack on a few more days, and that's going to make that number higher. So if you go back and look at February, which was the other day we had this year with 19 trading days, that was still more. That was 887 million compared to 764 million. So either way we cut it, we are looking a little bit lighter right now. Let's go to, I don't know, the Rock Lobster first. Mr. Rock Lobster, does that surprise you that we're looking lighter, not just from February of a year, or excuse me, from April of a year ago, but also even from this past February, which was the only other 19 trading day month we've had so far, sir?
As we know,
there would be a microphone in front of your face, sir. It'd be handy.
Even in person, he hits his
even
like,
in person.
He manages to mute himself.
Andrew is legendary for accidentally muting himself during the show and forgetting to unmute. And now he's done it in person.
And
even when the microphone is right in front of his face. He doesn't want the at-home people to hear him at all.
All right, I don't want anybody to feel left out. That anyway, my favorite saying is options level bull market. And you would think though at the beginning of the year everything was straight up Qs and all that. You would see more volume and so I'm trying to. I think there's a lot of we're talking about the Fed and inflation and the market has just been chopping around and it's just a lot. I think that does not bring the people out to trade. So that it does not surprise me that last month, the month of April, the volume came down a little bit on all the chop.
Mr. Meatball, Mr. Uncle Mike, anyone that surprised either of you?
That volume was down. Yeah. Well,
not just down so substantially, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, think about March, right? We had the beginning of that banking crisis. Everything blew up. April tends to be one of the lower vol months. We really didn't have look at the range that we held it for April, right? Up until the last day or two. I mean, how many days in a row did we move less than like 0.5%?
Quite a few. Yeah.
I mean, if there was ever a month not to trade options, I told everybody looking back at April, what I should have done is just unloaded a 100-point strangle and just
gone
sat
away.
on it all
Yeah.
month.
So it was 25. It was 25 days, Mark.
Yeah,
we moved less than 1%. We didn't have a 1% down.
Yeah,
day.
And how many of those did we move less than a 0.5%?
Yeah. Realized vol went to zero.
Yeah, vol went in the toilet, and so did volume, and that's why now I think May's going to look a lot more fun because of the additional funness of the banks.
Well, it's May. It's time to sell in May and just go away, right? So that's what we all do.
Clearly.
It's that easy every
all
year,
your folks here. Every year you got to say that. It's legally obligated, right?
Sell before June and avoid a swoon.
Yes.
That's my saying. But yes, I think you're going to see a dramatic pickup in volume for May.
Mr. Uncle Mike, any final thoughts on the volume here before we roll on into the unusual activity, sir?
Just to add what Mark said, when it's that high to go above the billion mark, and I don't know if it's necessarily that much of a dramatic decrease, but it's more of just there's so much of an increase beforehand is what it ultimately was. So,
all right, listeners, and now we're going to keep on rolling right on into our next segment. It is time to get weird. It is time to get wild. It is time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Odd Block, the portion of the show where we look at some weird, interesting activity. I have just been handed $1 by the greasiest of meatball.
I felt you didn't get it. You're the only one that didn't get anything. So I gave you $1.
My gift, $1.
That's his bribe payment for fixing the whole contest. I knew it.
When currency goes all digital, that's going to be a collector's item.
I'm going to put it on my wall.
That's going to be a collector's item.
Sign this for me before I go. That'll be perfect. I hang up right up over my desk in the studio. Signed. Only second to the tastiest steak in the world, which is bought to you by Mark.
Yeah. Are you coming to dinner?
$1 that is signed. I might be able to make my way there for the Mark Sebastian
free steak. I've never seen you. I've never seen you miss one of my free steaks.
Mark Sebastian steak. I do have to maybe.
There's not many sure things in this life. Well, one of the more sure things is that Longo will show up for the free steak.
Just for the Sebastian free steak. Other steaks, maybe not. Talking like a Ponderosa steak, maybe I'm out. But Gibson's with Sebastian. I might be able to make it.
I do have a
guessed it.
surprise odd block. I know you
Do
have
you?
some
Go for it. I love it. Yes.
I just saw over 30,000 contracts go up in the May 05 KRE May 05 38 calls, and they paid. The market was 28.35, and they paid 36 cents through the offer.
Ooh.
That's
That's a bold move.
That's a juicy move, right?
That is a big move.
And
You said 35,000, 30,000?
yeah, I'm seeing 37,000 total go up right now, but it was in pretty good sized blocks. Let me see here.
Yeah.
They were blocks of KRE, like 11,405, 5,700, 5,660. I mean, these are
Some
pretty
big
chunky
orders.
trades. And they all went up at so about 10 minutes ago. So are we going to get a surprise announcement?
I don't know. Did you see that huge VIX back spread go up today, Mark?
We can talk about that too if you want. Go ahead. Dive
Yeah.
into it.
So traders sold 100,000 of the 40 calls to buy 300,000 of the 60 calls for, I believe, September.
Maybe they're rolling that June 30-40 and they're just going out to the 60.
I didn't. Did the June call spread go up? Because I didn't see the June.
That's been the size position forever, right?
That has been. But by the way, you like my socks? It's Toad.
Yes, I love your
And
Mario Brothers.
But
By the way, I love that I have a data issue with Livol in the SEBO.
in the SEBO.
Yes. Well, because
never gets old.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was out on an island. But there was some other huge call purchases though today that were out there, and that's the biggest VIX trade we've seen in some time. 400,000 on a clip.
You said selling one to buy two?
He sold one to buy three.
By three?
Yeah. So
30-40?
it was
30-60?
It was the 40-60.
46.
He paid 48 cents or something like that. And so there, I think it's got to be against credit, right?
40-60, one by three.
A 40-61 by three. So how that one pays you?
Society ends.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, if VIX goes to 40, that one by three is going to make that dude
Yes,
a lot, or
it is
do
gonna
that
make money, yes.
a lot of money.
Wow.
And that's probably against some sort of credit portfolio or something like that. But yeah, it's the biggest kind of long vol trade.
We haven't seen those in a long time.
I know.
It used to be, listeners, there was kind of the trade du jour in VIX options was that kind of back spread, ratio spread, selling one, buying two, buying, in this case, three, to the upside, because VIX used to be known to explode to the upside, right? So people would want to put on those positions to profit from or protect against those explosions. Last year, not the most explosive year for VIX. This past week, we've seen it being able to move to the upside again. So maybe that spooked some people. They said, hey, I want to put selling the 40s to buy three of the. I would love to get into the mind
100,000 of them.
Of how they chose those strikes. Selling the 40?
Selling the 40 to get to the 60.
That's great. I love that. I love.
They want that. I guess
It's going back to 80.
They want that.
They're going. Yeah.
I mean, that is along a lot of convexity.
Yeah.
So they're basically telling us looking for skew to pop.
Dang. Wow. That one. I love this kind of live paper here.
What?
Yeah, 100,000 by 300,000 in September.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was some other interesting paper up that.
Was that anyone here? Raise your hand if that was you. 100,000 by 300. It might be a little small for this crowd, but you never know. While you're looking at that, I did pull up your KRE, which is of course the Spider Regional Banking ETF. Listeners, we got 38,000 of the 38s going up. Those are the weeklies. Those are expiring. Those are expiring tomorrow. That's a one-day trade. And then also we have 25,000 of the 37 puts going up today as well. I looked. I don't think they're related. I don't think it's a spread, but that's a lot of similar size paper.
Well,
we're looking for something to happen in the next 24 hours.
Where's KRE right now?
KRE right now is 36 and about a quarter.
Wow.
Oh, looks like my thing is delayed, but I got.
KRE's getting taken out to the woodshed. These mid-cap banks look terrible. I mean, at a certain point, you got to be willing to step in, though, right? I asked Bill Griffo, which of these banks would you go for? Yeah. All right. And I think that's another question I actually want to throw out. Yeah, you do have a July. Looks like they did the July 30-40 call spread. Did they sell that or bought it?
June.
It was a June.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe they dumped that now. Interesting time.
I think it looks like they sold the 30-40.
Okay.
And, but that was only 80,000. I think it's a different trader.
That would be different, yeah. Because that would be funny to sell the June 30-40 and then immediately roll into the SEP 40-60.
That would not be my first choice. And it's in two totally positions that behave and act totally different. Yes,
that's fantastic. I love everything about that.
But yeah, so my thought, which of the banks, are there any of these banks? Now I want to throw this one out to Mike because Mike loves his bank.
He's our banking expert.
He is our banking expert.
So we gave him IRS earlier.
Two things he knows how to do is to chop block and buy banks.
There you go.
Right.
So a local regional bank that I've been following, Old Second, they came up in my hometown of Aurora, about 40 miles from here, and then they've been buying a lot of other banks recently, and they have just gotten taken to the woodshed as well. They are publicly traded. OSBC, I believe, is their ticker symbol. They were around the mid 16s, low 17s, right before the banking crisis happened out in Silicon Valley. So they've been getting pounded. Another couple of regional banks that there's another one that it's not publicly traded, but it's one that I'm kind of associate. I don't have to do any business with them, but I know of them that speak with their owner, so to speak. And they're actually doing okay from the standpoint that what they do, their model's a little bit different, and that it's not so much with depositors as it is with doing commercial business loans. One of the things that I'm looking for, if I'm looking for at regional banks, is that if I'm just a depositor, if I'm putting $100,000, $200,000 in the bank as my checking savings account or whatever, a regional bank really doesn't benefit you much. What can you get at a regional bank that you can't get at like a Chase or a Bank of America? Typically not much. But in the regional banking world, what I think will save regional banks ultimately is that as a small business, like let's say I own a small trucking business and I need financing to buy my trucks. I'm not a big business. Maybe my business is worth $1 million, $2 million.
Can we make this a valve business instead of a trucking?
Okay.
I love valves. We've got a former valve business guy here. So
okay, let's say we have a valve business. But I'm talking about small business, so maybe he's a big business guy. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Whatever the business is,
a small valve.
If you were to go to a Chase, and I can just say this from experience of owning my own small business and lines of credit and things like that, it's difficult to get what I want at a Chase or a Bank of America, something along those lines. However, if I go to a local bank, they're going to talk to me. They're going to be a little bit more friendly because that's their niche of what they can do. They want to be more involved in the community. So I think that just my take on regional banks is that I'm not doing anything right now, but when the smoke clears, what I will be looking for within regional banks will be a bank that does things along the lines of trying to cater to the small business, because that's a niche that a regional bank will have that a Chase or a Bank of America likely will not have. Chase and Bank of America, they're typically looking to do loans to Zuckerberg and his buddies and things like that. But local business, that's a niche that regional banks are going to have. And that's, my opinion, what's ultimately going to save regional banks throughout our time.
I've got a little bit more activity I want to squeeze in. I want to make sure we leave some time for you folks too. If you guys have any questions, start mulling them over in your heads. We'll get to those in a little bit. I'll leave you guys a choice. You guys want to pay off some of previous trades we talked about in the past? You want to look at some stuff that's going up today? What are you going to do? We talked about the shop. Oh,
yeah,
Shopify?
yeah.
Okay.
Let's throw a couple interesting ones
Shopify
today.
These are let's go out to Shopify first. Like I mentioned, they are lighting it up today. They had earnings before the bell, and they are lighting up our most actives out there today. I think they were said they were number 4, number 5, something along those lines, which obviously a name we don't normally see in the top 10 out there. So Shopify having an intriguing day, shall we say.
Sure.
And what we noticed out here in terms of action was some, at the time, at the money puts. I'll have to pull up Shopify to see where it's hanging out right now. In fact, let's do that right now.
57.91.
57, there we go. All right, there we go. 57.91. So yeah, the 60 puts would be, they were in the money. Let's see if I can get my strike back up. There we go. Yeah, we saw this morning almost 4,000, 3,824 of the Jan. So going out a little ways, 60 puts going up for essentially $10.10. So a weird price, pretty much lifting the offer on these bad boys. That's about a 52 vol. This happened immediately after earnings. It was 58 and a quarter where the stock was when these puts went up. So someone heard the number and decided they did not like the number at all because they loaded up to the downside here on Shopify. We have seen other paper go up since then. I went and checked earlier to see if those had been closed out before showtime. And the answer is so far not the case. So Shopify, like I said, looking a little bit green today, but these puts, maybe they're not so enthusiastic about the long-term prospect. Mr. Rock Lobster, what do you think about these Shopify puts, sir?
So yeah, they went up today for what, $10?
And 10, yeah.
I don't know. That seems like a juicy put.
It's very juicy.
Let me pull this one up. It's kind of an odd purchase, to be quite honest, because it's
hence the name of the
Odd Block. Yeah, interesting. The segment is called
only
Odd
a
Block.
decade later. You found
Crazy.
only been doing this for 10 years, and I just realized why he called it that, the Odd Block. So I'm just gonna have to say it wouldn't be my choice of put, but there's certainly I wonder if it went up against stock. I don't see any stock against it, but I mean the stock, it just was like Shopify just was $24. So I mean, what, 2 months ago maybe, at least $30. So I could see that if they think the whole rally is for naught. But man, it's a big chunk of change for a put.
Yeah, they're trying to fade.
That is a big chunk of change. Let's look back on the year really quickly. A year ago, Shopify was about $48. It got down to a low of $23.63. It seems like that was right around the mid-October time frame. So since then, they've had quite the rally, up in pretty much more than doubling since then. So an intriguing run here for Shopify, but maybe someone thinks that's going to come to a screeching halt. Like I said, I didn't see any stock block go up with this either. Usually you see a meaty put like this, you might see some stock go up with it, but it does not appear to be the case out there. Looking intent on something.
No, I'm just waiting for the next block.
Waiting for the next one. Okay.
I'm just listening to you.
Listening to the tones. All right, let's keep on rolling. Let's go out to Host Hotels. We saw some interesting activity. Our Eye of Sauron, I should say, picked up some interesting activity out here in Host Hotels this morning. This is ticker symbol HST, trading right now a little bit north of $17, right around $17.20, up about nearly a buck, or about 5.5% today. On the year, let's see, a little bit of a different story.
It's not had a good year.
They're trading $20 about a year ago. They're down nearly 15% on the year. It's like the low actually came about $14.50. Looks like that was back in the maybe July timeframe of last year. It looks like they kissed it in March again as well. So a couple of times they flirted with that 14.5 level. So they're off their lows for the year, but they're still down net about 15% on the year. And what did our Eye of Sauron find out there today? Looks like someone maybe thinks that July timeframe for a little bit of downside is the place to be, because we saw first a block of 3,614 of the July. These are weird strikes. Obviously, there's a corporate action out there. 1580 puts, 15.8 puts.
Wow.
You don't see that too often, listeners. Going up through the offer, 76.5 cents. They were offered at 70 cents. That's your first sign that someone had to have them. They were immediately post earnings, just like we had Host Hotels this morning. The stock at the time was $17, pretty much exactly. Then they came back in. They liked it so much they did about 2,000 more for 65 cents. And then they kept coming. A total of about 9,000 had traded by the time I walked through the door. So a lot of interest, Mr. Rock Lobster, on the July 1580 puts in your new favorite name, sir, Host Hotels. So they got a bit of a ways to go, but I guess it passed its prologue. July was a tough period for them last year too. Maybe that's the time to get the puts, sir.
Yeah, it also is the bottom. Like that's the 1 year bottom. So how, what are they expecting out of it? Is my
question. Who's selling 1, buying 3 in VIXes, he's expecting it to just go ripping.
They're expecting disaster. So I don't know if they're going to get it in Host. They just earnings came out today. The stock is up. So
yeah,
they could be right. Of course.
It's a real estate, because it's more a real estate play than it is a hotel play, and it's an interesting one. We've seen this guy come in and buy these before.
You've been watching this one on your flow.
Work. Yeah. This guy does not have a history of
success.
Those are the guys you like to follow.
The
ones who keep throwing good money after bad.
Well, the thing you got to remember is he's probably long, and or she could be a she. She may be long,
size host hotels. Yes.
Yeah, and or it could be a bondholder or something like that.
Yeah, usually with the puts, it's usually some sort of hedging activity, listeners. But still, intriguing stuff nonetheless. Here we got a little bit more, but we are kind of coming up against it. I want to make sure we get some of you folks on here, also get some of our listener questions. So without further ado, let's keep on rolling right on into the mail block.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the mail block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the mail block. If you have some questions, get those percolating now. Really quickly, I'm going to kick it off here with our question of the week. We asked our audience back not that long ago, a couple of months ago, right when Apple's hanging out right in the middle of its range. It's gotten down to about 124 over the last year, and the all-time high is somewhere around 176. And when right when it was hanging out in the middle of that range, 140-something, we asked our audience, what are you guys feeling with Apple? Are you feeling more upside? Is it going to hit the 52-week high first or the 52-week low first? And overwhelmingly, 3/4 of our audience said, 52-week low. They were all in on bearish for Apple. And look how that's worked out. Not so great.
It's new all-time high.
Threatening new all-time highs as we speak here. So we thought it'd be a good time to revisit that question with our audience, saying Apple has been on quite the run recently and is threatening its new all-time high again. So it's time to revisit our poll. Quite simply, if you had to buy a 10% out of the money option, a call or a put, expiring at the end of the year. So you're looking for a 10% move in one direction in Apple by the end of the year.
We're buying a D's 31, 2023. 10% out of the money, put or call.
Which way are you going? Let's go to this. Let's have this audience first. Raise your hand if you would buy the call. 1, 2, only 3. Wow. Okay. Raise your hand if you buy the put. I guess that would be the rest of you. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Andrew too. Yeah. So you guys are like our audience were.
Raise your hand if you'd want to sell that strangle.
Yeah. There you go. That would have worked out over the past month. Well, that's our question of the week. That went live just earlier this week. Right now, the audience is agreeing with you folks. 68% saying they want to buy the put and let the fade begin. Only 32% saying they want to buy the call because it's rally ho time. Uncle Mike, you used to be our Apple bull in chief. Where would you fall on that poll, sir?
I don't bet against Apple, no matter what.
You're buying the call. Look at you.
I would definitely buy that call. If I had to be the binary choice of call or put, I would definitely.
That's all we give you. It's all binaries here on the network.
It's all no, can't be non-binary.
No, non-binary. 0 or 100 all the time. We also asked how many of you guys are interested in the one-day VIX? Raise your hand. I'm curious. You find it's a useful measure for you? I see a couple, 2, 3. How many of you think it's kind of just meaningless noise? Oh, none of you. No one. So the rest of you are all in between, I guess. Interesting. Well, that was our question of the week last week.
Good question.
They launched the one-day VIX. Obviously, very interested in that here in this building. We thought we'd ask our audience, what do you folks think of this one-day VIX? Is it going to be a useful information for your trading, maybe because you trade very short-term, or is it kind of a meaningless indicator? And almost 75%, 74.4%. That's our number lately. I don't know why. Our audience is very biased in one direction, saying it's a meaningless number. They don't care. Only 25.6% saying they are intrigued by that. We have some more questions here, but we got from our listeners. But I want to make sure if you guys are here, you're live after all. Take advantage. If you got questions, hit us now or forever hold your peace. Uncle Mike, our regional banking expert, he'd love to talk regional banking with you. Also, all of your tax questions.
He doesn't plan on talking regional banks today, but you never know.
He does own IRS to figure now, so he's qualified to answer your tax questions.
Ironically, I'll be talking about.
Got a bunch of shy people here in your audience here.
I know. Well, they've been here for a couple days asking questions to us all day.
You fed them full of Portillo. That's what.
That is the other thing.
So now they're all groggy.
Do I get Portillo's?
Beef.
You do. It's outside. Right after this thing.
Gotta go.
I know.
All right. Then let's go to this one. Then a question.
Oh, we do have a question from the audience.
Oh, we got one here. Okay, live question. There we go.
All right.
How is Mark so unbelievably handsome? I get it. Yes.
On taxes. So let's say you have a brokerage account, right? And you want to roll that into a traditional IRA. Say your age is at 60. Now, when you roll that, you go ahead and pay the tax.
I'm sorry, what's at 60? I'm sorry.
My age.
Okay, got it.
So you got to wait. Well, I'm a little bit older than that. But anyway, you got to wait, as I'm understanding it. Is it 3 years or is it 5 years before you can actually start to withdraw that?
Are you talking about a Roth IRA?
A Roth IRA. So you currently have a broker account. Say you roll 100 grand or 200 into a Roth IRA. You want to pay the taxes now because you feel that tax increases are just going to continue.
Are you talking about a brokerage traditional IRA into a Roth, a conversion?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Only you had a presentation coming up on that exact topic.
401k, But then I also have a question too, because I also have, a 401k that I manage myself that I'm thinking about rolling that into a Roth and pay the taxes now. So it's deferred. So when I start withdrawing at age 65, which is say using the easy math, I've already paid the tax on the money.
All right. So with that, first off, you are in luck because next I'm literally going to talk for an hour.
Yeah, he's literally going to talk about that exact thing.
So with that,
And I'm going to stand next to Mike and just shake my head a lot.
Yeah. So great question, though.
Very timely.
Excellent
That was a beautiful question, Grant.
Right group. Well
For
done,
sure.
Mike. Well done.
All right.
So, but with that, to answer your question on the 5-year rule, right? With that, I would suggest just to keep it simpler. If you're looking to, if you're going to convert it, put it in the Roth and then withdraw it. I would just say take the withdrawal directly from the IRA in general, just to simplify it. Unless you're concerned with a major tax increase within the 5 years, I would.
Years.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably look to just take it directly out of the IRA and then put in a general non-qualified account and do it gradually to keep your tax rate lower. But that's something, it just depends on what your tax rate is and that type of thing. So for sure.
I cursed you with that IRS figure. Now you're the tax man, sir. I love it. It's doing its job.
All right.
We got time here. We'll squeeze in one more listener question here. You want to do ratio put spreads or?
No, but we got a question for the audience.
Go ahead.
I have one more question about the difference between the tax treatment of cash and
You're putting me to work today.
No, it's a great question, but we're just.
your broker keep track of that and send it to your accountant, or is that something that you have to keep track of yourself?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part. The tax treatment of a cash settled option.
Yes, like if you trade SPX,
Right.
60% is taxed as long
Correct,
as
the 1256.
no matter how long you hold the trade.
Yeah, that will be in your 1099 or the 11. I forget the other number for, but they do
It's
have
not
that form
something
available
we
at
have
the end
to
of the
worry
year.
about either in the broker.
You have to worry about it because the broker could make a mistake. I've seen that happen.
But they do try to do it though.
If you
Yes.
don't have an account,
Personal account or an IRA, they'll try to do that for you.
they make an effort, but they do make mistakes. I've seen that happen before.
yeah, and if you don't have an accountant that is familiar with how to deal with this stuff, you should change accountants because there's a lot of nuances to the
my accountant
Rule
doesn't
1256
know much
rule.
about this trading status stuff, but I've had her for 35 years. But she doesn't do work for traders, so I better find somebody who knows.
Yeah, find someone who's familiar with the 1256.
Yeah,
contract.
because that is gold. Because there's a lot of nuances to Rule 1256 in terms of where losses get attached, where wins get attached.
I trade
Whether
a
you're
lot
set
of
up as a
that-
trading
lot of that
business
stuff with
and you're getting
you. I
split
trade-
straddles. There's a lot.
I trade a ton of it with you.
Yeah,
A lot of it with Andrew.
yeah. Well, we like Rule 1256 because we don't like taxes.
I don't feel like keeping track of it though.
Right. We like 1256. All right.
Uncle Mike, I have gifted you. You're now the tax man on the show. I love it.
All right. We have another question from the audience.
Hold on, wait, the microphone right there, right behind you. There you go.
I received 164 pages of tax documents from TD Ameritrade. Do I have to report every line to the IRS or can I send a summary instead?
I usually, when that happens, I give it to, I am an enrolled agent with the Internal Revenue Service. Ironically, I have IRS now, which is really not
Really?
expecting that today. I work with an accountant, and for my stuff, I literally just send it to the accountant, and he uploads it into a spreadsheet with the
Yeah.
software.
You should get it. Yeah, a good accountant will have a spreadsheet that just loads it all up
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
and
simple
spits it
for 'em.
out.
Thank you.
Boy, you really.
I did. I
You
unleashed
opened
the
door. How
floodgates.
dare you bring up taxes? It's like yelling fire in a movie theater.
Any
So-
options questions before we roll off? As fun as the tax questions are, but I know Uncle Mike's got to do his shindig too. So
All right.
we'll tell you what, we'll table the questions for now, and we'll keep on rolling to our final segment. We will go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of the week into the weekend until our Monday episode. We'll start with the tax man himself, Mr. Uncle Meister. What are you looking forward for new tax treatments from the IRS over the weekend, sir?
Not much. Try and pay less. That's my advice. So no, I'm watching the 4,100 level with the SPX, the Giovinazzi magnet, so to speak, seeing how we will react to that on the last hour of the day today, as well as tomorrow, and seeing how the bonds react to this. Because right now we're close to the highs of the year in the 10-year note. Seeing how that reacts to it, seeing if it digests the news of the Fed, and seeing if we sell off a little bit in that. And there's some fruit company that has earnings coming up, I hear.
Never heard.
That was yesterday, wasn't it, Mark?
I think
Apple
it was.
Earnings were yesterday.
It was yesterday at midnight. That a special early announcement.
For those of you that have listened to the show for 15 years, you'll know that inside joke. But yeah, that's what I'm watching.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Rock Lobster, next question for you, sir. What do you keep now that you're in the big city? I know you're a little nervous, but outside of that, what are you keeping an eye on until our Monday episode?
Yes, besides looking over my shoulder every 5 seconds. Again, banking. Will this banking thing
come to a head?
Will it come to a head? I think the market is not. I think right now it feels like AI is holding up the market and everything else stinks. I mean,
ChatGPT just buying it up, all
AI
the spike.
and gold and everything else.
AI.
Is so good. So I'm looking at that and see if if we actually can dip down to 4,000 as well. I feel like we're going to have kind of a lost year. And here in the jam croissant this morning, talking about how flat the market can be in a long recessionary period. It would not surprise me.
So, Mark, what is the over/under on the number of times Tim Cook says AI during the conference call? What is the over/under?
Gotta be. I'd say 5.5, and I'll take the over.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody want to take the under on the number of times Tim Cook says AI?
That include questions, because he'll get a bunch of questions.
No, it's got to be in his speech.
I'll still stay at 5.5. I'll take the over. Yeah.
All right. So there you have it, folks. 5.5. Anybody taking the other side of that?
You won't mention the car or the headset or any of the other cool stuff, but it'll be all AI.
Yeah, you can go on Option Insider. We do need a betting apparatus for ridiculous Wall Street ideas on the
betting on the website. Here we go. We'll work with DraftKings.
That would be fun.
We'll call it Longo Kings.
Longo Kings. I'll make the book myself.
Option Kings.
Here we go. But I like that. We could do some spreads, make our own over-unders.
Yeah, exactly.
Curatize them. There we go. Stay tuned for that. My next appearance, we'll have our own tradable products. Well, you guys were a great audience. I appreciate you folks joining us today for a little live recording of the show. That's going to do it for us today. I will be back in the studio later for all the live folks for TWIFO This Week in Futures Options that we do with our friends across the other side of the pond and CME in a little bit. So if you're intrigued by nat gas and crude oil and gold options, all that kind of fun stuff, stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, I'm assuming you guys are traveling, so you're not going to be on Vol Views tomorrow?
No, we're going to be at a Cubs game. I thought you were
going to be at a Cubs game. Okay.
Vol Views live from Wrigley Field.
Work, I don't know. But noon for Vol Views, and then after that for Options Oddities. I'm telling you, Mr. Matt is eyeing your seat, sir. He's hopping into more of our oddities. And then back again on Monday, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Option Block is brought to you by SIBO. When it comes to trading volatility, trust SIBO, the creator of the VIX Index, for in-depth and relevant information. SIBO's tools and services gives you up-to-date trade insights, analysis, and positions of VIX options and futures. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/VIX today to learn more. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options. stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.